Hi all, Butley here. I'm here with Patch.
Yes.
Q. Terrible, terrible. How's everyone going today? We are.
Oh, you meant them, not me.
I meant the world. I don't care about you. We are playing Tactics Ogre here. We are on a journey towards where we heard the Holy Knight Lancelot is. I know I keep saying that. Everyone who's watching these videos in sequence is probably sick of hearing that, but it is
And
what
everyone
it is.
who's watching them out of sequence is utterly confused.
That's true. You probably should get the sequencing right, unless something truly amazing happens and you're just watching this video randomly, right?
I don't know, Dan. Does something truly amazing happen?
I don't know. Have we recorded this yet? Maybe something will happen while we're recording. I don't see into the future, sir.
You're the one playing the game.
No, don't ruin the immersion. Jeez.
Ruin the illusion.
Uh,
Oh boy.
So what we're in store for is actually another tough battle. This inventory fidgeting and stuff doesn't go for very long. We pretty much get straight to it.
Is there ever not a tough battle?
I don't know. It's hard to say. There's definitely some lesser tough battles, but the problem is there's like side missions and that, and they vary in toughness. I guess tough is one generic sweeping term for a range of things that it could mean. So, for example, when we had to save Sistina, it's like that was
Yep.
tough, but not because the battle was tough. That was kind of easy to roll over their troops. Excuse me. It was tough to make sure she didn't cark it before we won the battle.
Honestly, I can't even remember who Sistina is.
She's the cleric in yellow that we saved, and then it was like, join the resistance, and we're like, no, we're part of the Wallister, and then she ran away, and then since then we've been like, oh shit, she was probably right. Now we meet Vance. Whoever could it be?
Decurion? It's a really cool name.
Is it a name or a title?
I think it might be his name.
Huh?
RSO!
Hi. So the thing to remember here is that even though we are like basically exiled and there's a bounty on us, we're still Wallister and we're still kind of fighting the Galvestani. And RSL, even though she tried to kill us, she's Wallister as well. So technically she's part of our kin.
Yeah.
And that's what this discussion is about. I'm not gonna let her die just because of the deceit that betrayed us. Yeah.
What are those? Are they golems?
I think we go and have a look in a minute. Touch wood. Come on, me.
Are you a liar, Dan?
I might be a liar. I swear I go and have a look through the units.
Oh my god, and those little fly thingies.
Fairies, sir.
You should recruit one.
You can definitely do that. It will definitely be a thing.
They're probably terrible because they're so small and would be squishy, but they fly.
Well, I mean, the thing is, each type of unit has multiple things. Like, sure, we saw the octopus, and yeah, they're mostly just like big tanky melee units that have like a special attack that's ranged. But
That thing's flying animation.
but a lot of like the fairies, they can be like archers or they can be mages or different things. I love it. So that's the counter-attack ability. Oh, here we go. Let's have a look at some of these guys. So have we seen the rogue class before?
I don't think so.
So that's an Umbra. So when we go look at... So there's Recruit, and Recruit gets humans, but you can get one that works just for Umbra as well. And so
Okay.
we need to like designate a unit to be like an Umbra catcher.
Gross.
So that's something, as we start to grow the team, we'll slowly pick up those kind of people. I actually can't remember all the classes of what can collect what? I like his name.
Clay Golem.
Lachemedes.
Yeah, actually.
So he's a golem, as opposed to a beast or a dragon or an octopus. I'm just trying to like have a general look at type of ability. So these are melee sort of bruisers. Doesn't have as much health, but he's quite tanky and has a lot of damage. So tanky as in armor.
Yeah.
Here we go. A familiar,
No.
not a fairy.
It is a fairy. You lied to me.
I'm sorry. I thought it was like, what's the opposite of Umbra? Divine?
Hmm.
I was wrong. So yeah.
It's just got light magic.
Yeah, that's right. That's why you sort of have to do a bit of scouting before you start, so you know who's going to be doing all the damage and stuff like that. I try not to spend too much time doing that because it's boring to anyone not actually physically playing, but I need that knowledge else I don't win the games, so...
Yeah, I just mean, like, I thought it might be cool, thought it might have some sort of gimmick to it, but it's just another unit.
Yep.
Like, the Golem's gimmick is they're freaking huge and tanky, but, weak and flying isn't really quite the same.
Well, I guess they have like better mobility than even your like human flying units and things like that.
Yeah.
They all are
They're
slightly
always
unique.
flying.
I mean, sometimes you just sort of take what you get. I don't think it's supposed to be sort of because of the way the armies build. It's supposed to be replayability. So, like I've played games where I've just gone after dragons, and I played a game where I got an octopus and a griffin. And I was like, I don't want any dragons. These are fun. You know, they were different.
Yeah.
So. And so we have the
cool,
usual escort-styled mission here, where we have to save her before she gets KO'd, else she dies forever. You can see pretty much straight away that I've designated
Canopus.
Canopus to draw fire, but also our cleric and our knight sort of on the left there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're like going to try
Waiting
and
in the
sneak down
wings.
the side. The problem with water is it's really hard to jump, and the marshlands slow your movement, so... This is where things like your winged units, like Canopus, it's great getting a few of them because you can make them clerics. Or you can get a rune fencer who runs through the water, who gets a bit of healing magic later on.
Yeah.
Or if not healing magic, at least like support magic, like say a speed boost or a defensive shield or something like that. Yeah.
And it lived as well as I about expected it.
Yeah, no, so I think that's about, like, the battle goes on, right? And it's a tough
Yeah.
battle. I think I actually might engage the chariot, which I have said I try not to do, but in some of these missions where, you know, it's not how well you execute, it's you either save her or you don't. I tend to use the chariot because I don't want to... Even if we don't use the NPCs, it's cool to keep them alive if they've got story relevance and stuff like that, so... And you never really know where they're going to pop up in the story, so it's kind of cool just to... If you get the choice not to kill people, yeah, it's usually a good idea. So, we were, last episode, which was yesterday for us, so excuse us if we're a little bit scratchy, learning where we were and getting back on track. We were talking about Battle Realms, a unique kind of RTS game that kind of took all the... In a time of many RTSs, or coming from a time of many RTSs, it kind of had its own unique spin on everything.
Ouch.
And we got as far as talking about the clans, right? Or are we going to continue talking about them? Do you want to take that away? Because I started last time.
Well, who do you want me to talk about?
Well, who's your favorite? Because you're more invested than I am.
My favorite when growing up was the Wolf clan. So I guess I should talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, in the lore of the game, the Wolf Clan, I don't know what they were prior, but they were enslaved by the Lotus. I don't know if they were like another group that was enslaved, or if they were just people and then the Lotus rose to the top. But yeah, they were enslaved, and they broke free, and then they formed the Wolf Clan. That is their clan. And in the expansion of the game, that's actually... the campaign you follow is them breaking free of the Lotus control.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, the Wolf Clan is very rough, very savage in many ways. their weaponry is made of mining tools and shale. They call it shale. I think it's just meant to be, a
It's like
certain type
plate.
of metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they use a lot of just like junky sort of stuff, and they're also very savage. But one of the more unique things about them is each other team gets to use horses. For the wolf, when you get a horse, it's brought back to a wolf pit, and you can send a guy to that wolf pit, and instead of hopping on a horse, he gets a wolf. And depending on what kind of soldier it is, he might get 2 or 3 wolves. So that's a really cool feature. And it's just meant to supplement your forces in a creative sort of way that the other teams don't get.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I mean, the Lotus and the Wolf, if the Serpent and the Dragon are parallel, or I guess, what do you say, like 2 sides of a coin?
Yeah.
The Wolf and the Lotus are completely different. They're
definitely.
really unique.
The wolf,
just look at RSL here. She's taken down 2 units on her own, surrounded by the enemy team. That doesn't kick
I can
ass.
see why you want her on your team.
I don't know what it is. Yeah,
And by the end of the game, you're going to end up kicking out like your regular archers and just taking NPC archers, like actual character archers.
I think, like, did we not take one of our... Oh, I don't know. Now, the thing is, now we have like 11 or 12 units we're going to have to actually start dropping people. But that's alright, you're supposed to build up a squad, and this is why it's cool that the game levels up classes, it doesn't level up characters. So if I want to bench my short range archer for like 10 missions, and then I suddenly need an extra archer, I can call her up, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, she's still useful.
It doesn't ruin the game.
So yeah, there's still traits and abilities, but you don't top out, but you get so many of them, and if you were really trying to play at a high level, you could get more than 10 abilities and trade them in and out depending on what mission you're facing. So there's all that in the game if you want it as well. So anyway, we'll probably talk about units. We're gonna go into that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't talk about specific units, but the Wolf Clan is all like beating and punching and hitting things. They do have one unit that throws fire, and they do have one unit that wields a giant baluster on his back. But other than that, they are mostly just...
And even then, the baluster shooter is not as like clean as a crossbowman or an archer. Like, it takes a long time to shoot. He's still quite bulky in melee range and things like that.
Yeah. So the leader of the Wolf Clan is Greyback, and he wields a giant pickaxe, and he is really expensive to buy, and his ability is just to give a damage amp to nearby allies.
One of the biggest units in the game, both in model size and in damage, or just tankiness.
Yeah. Although that being said, there is one bigger hero in the Wolf Clan.
Yep.
And that is the Shale Lord. So one of the features of the Wolf Clan is the ability to give armor to their fellow units. One of the unique features is to put armor on their units. That's instead of a second ability. Units normally get a choice between 2 abilities, and for Wolf it's have an armor.
Or have an ability. Yep.
Yeah. So he can shed his flesh because he is just a giant shale creature, and put it on Wolf Clan soldiers. It does cost him a bit of health, but it's amazing. Like, it's free armor for your entire army.
Yeah,
Makes
it just takes time to cool down and go through it, right?
Yeah, and it definitely represents, again, the way that the Wolf Clan is not as beefy. I mean, not as magical, not as ability focused. They're more about the direct fight.
They're resourceful.
Yeah. Then there's Longtooth, who wields a boomerang, which is... I don't know, I think that's kind of unique in a game.
Definitely pretty cool.
When do you ever see someone... Ooh.
So if I mentioned, this is where we utilize the chariot. But I left that in there because I thought, at least it's cool to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Here we go. And I might do this a few times. I can't remember how this battle went. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
What happens is the game doesn't like create a new seed. Like, if you just replay one turn and go for about a random, like if you swing and miss, it won't reseed that one turn. But if you go back a few turns and make a similar action, it might. So.
Yeah.
Anyway. Other heroes, Boomerang Man, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, Longtooth was easily my favorite because Australia and boomerangs,
Yep.
but also because he has like this full set of armor. It looks like, and yeah, he just looks really unique.
He's the guy in the big shiny white armor, right?
Yeah, he certainly stands out among the others.
Yep. Cool.
Then lastly, not including the expansion, is Gaila. I think it's meant to be like a reference to Gaia, but it's like Gaila with a H and an L. And her ability is to heal allies in an area, and when she's
very
around
powerful
crops.
when you have a tanky team, right?
Oh yeah, she just full heals in an AOE, and when she's around crops, she causes them to grow. So she's meant to be like your nature-y aspect. So the Wolf Clan, I don't know. I guess they're meant to be noble savages, but largely they're just savages.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the units get real sharp though as they get further up the ranks. They get quicker units and faster units, and they deal a lot more damage. So they've got a bit of their own. They're definitely unique and distinct in their style.
Yeah, when thinking of them, you should think of them like I guess Celtic druids and things like that. They're definitely more that aspect. In fact, many of them have red hair, so you could definitely consider them like Scottish Highlanders and all different things like that.
Yeah.
They respect the. Sorry. They. I don't know what the word is now.
I'm not sure
They represent
where you're going.
that. They represent that more than, like Native Americans or.
Yep.
That sort of noble savage stereotype. And yeah, so their final person is Wildeye. Wildeye appears to wield... Oh, that's right, I remember this guy. I've looked all this up before. This guy wields some sort of a club. And his trick is he can summon up to 3 spirit wolves to fight for him.
Cool.
So where normal people get actual wolves, he just summons spirit wolves.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the other thing about the Wolf Clan is their final thing, their ultimate sort of ability, so to speak, is for them to get abilities, they have to send a dryad, druid? I can't remember which one.
Dryad?
Yeah.
Druid, dryad.
To their can, to sort of like, pray or worship or whatever. And then they come out with a certain number of charges, and then they can use these charges to give units abilities. So they don't have like an ultimate attack like the dragons have the dragon shrine, and they don't have an ultimate unit like the serpent have the necromancer. But instead, they can give their top strongest unit the ability to turn permanently into a werewolf, and this full heals that unit. So if you go into a fight with a bunch of these guys and they start getting hurt, you just start clicking on the ones that get low health, and suddenly pop, 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 your army turns into werewolves, full health werewolves.
It makes their fighting style go back to that. We're tanky and we have sustainability and we want to drag fights out because we'll just win the war of attrition that way.
Yeah. And then, if you give one of the blessings to one of these werewolves, and the werewolf gains a bite, if they bite and kill someone with that bite, then they turn the enemy into a werewolf. Into a wolf, not a werewolf. Just a regular
little
wolf.
That you don't,
I think
you don't
it's...
control.
I don't know, it might be allied and bound to that werewolf. I can't specifically remember.
The general wolves that we keep mentioning, they kind of have their own, you don't manage them, they just follow a unit, or they're governed by a unit. So if you tell that unit to attack, the wolves will try and attack that, but you don't actually grab the individual wolves and do it.
Yeah. And that's about all for the Wolf Clan. Without going into the nitty-gritty of it, and strengths and weaknesses and stuff, that's the Wolf Clan in general.
Yep. That just leaves us with the Lotus Clan, who are definitely unique in their own right. What do I know about the Lotus in terms of themes? I don't really know. I'm sure they're based on something, but yeah, you probably know more about the lore than I do.
Well, the Lotus Clan's unique. Well, I mean, all the teams are unique, but the Lotus Clan, they take on a very aspect of like a mage sort of culture, where the top ranking people are powerful mages, and the bottom ranking ones are like adepts and disciples and acolytes. all of their stuff is like training yourself to advance your magic ability so that you can become a master warlock. So their lowest of units might have swords and things, but later on it's basically all magic.
Right.
They have the only purely ranged focused top tier unit. They have the second ranking of all their units are like diseased and infested and have all these horrible
have
afflictions.
that kind of theme where it's occult type stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so it's all their themes are like debilitating and things like that, whereas a lot of the other teams are about like buffing your units or allies or disabling your enemies. This is all about yeah, like there's one that they've got one of the ones with a literal death order ward thing they can put down.
Oh yeah, that thing's nasty.
And things like that, you know, it'll slow you, it'll make your units take poison damage, it'll paralyze units. Yeah. A lot more of that kind of stuff than any of the other teams have. Some of the units like explode upon death, dealing damage and things like that.
And the Lotus heroes, like, so obviously they represent the evilest of evil teams, and they're definitely just in it for power and all that sort of stuff. Their leader is Zymoth. I think I'm saying that correctly. He's just like a warlock, except he looks cooler. He can make it rain, that's his ability. And when it is raining, which is something that can happen normally, just because the game has sort of weather mechanics, when it is raining, he can cause lightning to strike from the sky and hit nearby enemies.
He's got a really cool AoE lightning attack.
Yeah.
But it's like, it hits in bursts, it doesn't just blast all at once.
No, he strikes over time.
Yeah.
And it's very nasty.
Yay, thank you, Merowyn, for standing in the way of my word of pain. You came into range.
So next in the Lotus Clan, I like all the Lotus Clan leaders. They're kind of interesting.
I like that they all fit a kind of plan or a strategy, or they're all like vastly different. Like, sure, the Wolf Clan has interesting heroes, but I find a lot of them are just big tanky unit with the boomerang, big tanky unit with a wolf, big tanky unit with buff, and the Lotus don't feel like that at all.
Yeah, their heroes definitely fit like a certain feel or a theme. The next one is Coral, and Coral's thing is, it's very hard to shoot him with projectiles. Projectiles have like a certain amount of accuracy, and for Coral, projectiles just like aim around him, basically. They try, like, it's very hard to hit him directly, and this is just his passive effect. His actual ability is that he can teleport, a decent distance away. So he's very difficult for enemies to deal with. You can just drop him on top of your enemy's ranged units and he can go to town. And that makes him like really sort of cunning and clever, so to speak.
Right, and he's not as much damage and things like that. He trades off in that regard, but he's still a hero unit, so he still deals reasonable damage.
And he's just very disruptive.
The cooldown's not too bad either, like, and the thing is, so it's like, if you're fighting somewhere, he can teleport into their base and sort of take down peasants and disrupt the resource line and things like that. That's the sort of kind of strategies you can pull out with that flexibility.
So next is Soban. Soban is a golem master. His entire thing is that he can summon up to 3 golems. These golems don't fight. They just collect resources.
They're not like big, huge stone golems. They're little golems.
Little worker golems. And they do that job spectacularly. Like, they don't get tired. They don't get slow when they're on low health, I don't think. They cannot fight, but yeah, they're just really solid workers.
And it means you can invest other workers into units, which is sort of the trick, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, other than that, like, that's all he does. But that's still something fairly unique.
It's pretty significant. Like I say, it's very unique, and that makes it interesting on its own.
It's sort of like very hard to state how strong it actually is without knowing like how fast you can get units and things.
Right.
Having those 3 extra units that you can get from peasants is, a pretty big deal. So,
well, I don't think we're really trying to fuss too much over how powerful each unit is. We're just trying to like get the thematics of each unit described.
Yeah. So the last one, or rather second to last, is Isil. and this is probably my favorite guy. His ability is haste, and all it does is he casts the ability, and everyone in an area gets like double movement and attack speed for a short duration. That's it, and he just goes nuts.
Oh, and the way that fits in the Lotus scheme of things, we said there's a lot of ranged units as you go up the tech tree and things like that. So giving them more attack speed is good if someone's if an army's charging at you and they can attack, or if they're charging at you and you want to run away, for example. Like, these are the advantages of having the speed boost and attack boost. You can, I guess the word you'd use in a MOBA is like kiting. You can sort of do a bit of that.
The other purely unique thing to him is he costs only rice, which is one of the 2 resources. You don't need all resources, you just need rice, and then one of those yin-yang points we've very briefly mentioned in another video. So he's very easy to get a hand on. And then the last person is Yvain, who obviously we haven't had any experience with her, but she's sort of an ice mage. Her ability is to blast enemies with ice and leave them temporarily frozen. And while frozen, they can't die, it looks like.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and she starts off as like the first thing you meet, because I have touched the first level of the expansion.
Yep.
And she appears to be the first villain you encounter. So
major antagonist.
Yeah.
This fight here, we're just winding down. Notice RSL got to get another kill of her own. She's wrecked half this team on her own. Yeah.
And that's each and every clan in Battle Realms.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add. I mean, it is what it is. They, without going into the details of how they all stack up against one another, there's not much else to say. I think it's just a game that is so unique for a time where everyone was sort of doing the same thing in RTS, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's a shame the game didn't get like more acclaim or more money or more involvement, because it would have been really nice to see it. It also had a really nice aesthetic. Like, Warcraft 3 is distinct, but I still think Battle Realms had better graphic style, art style, and things like that.
And there's lots of little things we didn't talk about. Like I mentioned, there's weather that comes into the game. There's just
things like vision and the coverage of trees. We didn't talk about gathering rice or water. It's a very it's more like a red alert way of gathering those things. If you gather too much, they don't renew over time. We didn't talk about like the speed that peasants. You have peasants spawn every so often, and the more you have, the slower it is. So the important thing is to like optimize what you're doing with each peasant, because the next one will take exponentially more time to come out, things like that. And because they are funding your military as well as your economy, you've got to really manage that side of it properly.
Sometimes when you go through trees, birds fly out and indicate to everyone on the map that you've got forces there.
Yeah, fog of war or not, yep.
And just little things like that. There's so much you can enjoy in this game, and it's really just worth a look. If not because of the campaign, then the skirmish player is still really fun to try and just experience something that's a bit different.
Or you play against the AI, or if you got any friends, it's good having a bash. We played a bit of co-op against some really tough AIs, which was fun. I like this moment in the game. Notice how she actually turned to face where I'm standing. Like, I could have ended that battle anywhere, and she turned to face me just to talk to me. It's the little things like that that really make this feel polished as an RPG. Here she's basically given up, and we're saying, look, we're not going to kill you, you just stick with us until you believe the truth, and then do what you want. So yeah, we will have a new little party member. We don't get control of her straight away, she tags along. Sort of like Quechua, she's only tagging along, but we don't actually control her yet.
Sisters, am I right?
Yeah. I wouldn't know. What are you talking about? Oh, you can see
So-
that little purple thing with the yellow outline. That's a crafting thing that I think is going to pop up as a tutorial thing now. I don't do any crafting for a few episodes, but I think I'll have to dedicate a few minutes to just doing some crafting stuff, because it's a thing that exists and you probably want to do some of it, and I'll probably try and pre-plan what I want to do so I don't spend ages. I could spend a long time wading through crafting and stuff, but I'll try and target craft a bit so it's not boring on stream.
So Butley, I can see that we've still got a little bit of time left.
Right.
Did we want to talk about anything else?
I don't have anything in specifics. Did you have a topic?
No. I just wanted to mention that Battle Realms tried a Kickstarter to get Battle Realms 2 going, and it didn't work out.
Oh, when was that?
And that was a while ago, actually.
Okay.
More than a year, I think.
Yeah.
And then they tried to get a card game going, and I haven't heard anything about that.
Oh wow, that would be like, I like card games. I think we said we like card games even just to see what people try and do.
Yeah,
with card
the
games.
mechanics, just to see what's tried, and because you can always take away from that, you can always learn something.
A card game is like a series of mechanics, and each is like its own individual mechanic, and you can cut pieces, like certain mechanics from certain card games, and piece them together to make like a new card game.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain without going into specifics. I don't really want to do that. But you know, like
Well,
the resource thing of having lands in Magic, well, that's a mechanic, and so you can cut that piece and apply it to a different combat system, for example.
I was going to say, it's funny you say that, because we played Dominion, which is a card game we very much enjoy, and if you're not familiar with it, it's definitely a great game to play, even with friends. Like, it's something everyone can learn, everyone can play, no matter, age or anything.
Very different to the other type of card games we've talked about, though.
Yeah, and then even more recently, we played Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle,
Yes.
and that was very similar to Dominion. It had some of the same ideas, but it played out more as a team game where you try and take down a villain rather than competing against each other to get points. So, yeah, it was two sort of takes on the same sort of gameplay, but with like two very different goals in mind, and two very different games come out of it, and it's a lot of fun to try both and see what the differences are. So,
Yep.
And that's sort of what you're saying.
Yeah, no, that's definitely right. I was just reading Zapan there. It said he would sell his own mother out for coin.
Quick, hire him.
Yeah. But you're right, like things like Dominion and Harry Potter, they are as much deck building games as they are like in-game deck building. You buy cards to add to your deck so you can utilize them, and that's cool in its way as well. And just different styles, like you say, it just shows that you can have an independent thing like Dominion, or if you want to take a popular, I don't know, a popular anything.
Pre-existing.
So like we've talked, say Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's a specific type of card game. And then Harry Potter, well, that's a different style of card game. It doesn't matter what your, say, intellectual property is that you're using. You can play it however you want. And so something like a Battle Realms thing, there's so many different ways that could come out. That's interesting, even if the game itself doesn't quite have the polish and doesn't quite have the longevity of playing it over and over again. It's still interesting to see what sort of ideas they come up with and what sort of things that end up out in there. So when we say we would look forward to seeing a Battle Realms card game, it's just out of curiosity to see what comes out, really, hey?
Yeah.
So most of the rest of this is just going through abilities. We'd build up some points. Yeah, I'm not going to say we've got a tough fight incoming. All the fights are tough. There's one specific fight that is unique, but I try not to do all this inventory and tidying up of skills too often, but sometimes you just have to go in.
Well, it's important to know. Like, you can't just be like, oh, now we're this. And it's like, oh, why can you do that? You know, sometimes it's good to see it and how it played out.
I don't mind, from a video perspective, I like talking over this sort of stuff, because anyone if you're out there and you're really interested in looking what the abilities do, or looking at maybe taking someone's playthrough as an idea of how to build certain types of characters, because I don't think there's a right answer. You've just got to learn. It's like any single player game. You just play it how you envision you play it, right? And then you turn around and go, oh, I've been doing this and someone else does it that way. Maybe I'll try their way. It might be different. You don't know
Yeah.
until you see it. And so that was the appeal of me wanting to play this and put it on a video. Is like, this is how I do things. Heck, if people are there and you're watching this and you've played this and you're like, want to make some comments on the videos? Why do this? Why did you do that? Or do this? Why are you an idiot? Stop doing that. Or don't build that ability. It's useless. Just do this. Like,
All right, first comment is gonna be me. Why are you an idiot?
why are you idiots? Blizz, no. But you know, like, and so it's just, I like single player games in let's play kind of scenarios like this, so you try and learn a bit along the way, and if I'm not learning, maybe I'm teaching, so just through playing and just through, like, I've never seen anyone else play any of this game. Everything I do is basically just my learning. I barely even like looked up stuff for this game. I looked up a bit of info on, say, the character classes just to get an idea of like a tier list of classes, but beyond that, and even then I don't remember it all. Beyond that, this is all just my own knowledge over playing this game for years.
Yeah.
My good old PSP is still going strong. I dropped it again on the tiles yesterday.
Oh jeez.
Smashed it, the back came off, the game fell out, the battery smashed out on the floor. Just picked it up, put it all back together, still works fine.
I would be very interested in playing something like this against another person, because I find this sort of thing's very interesting.
Sure.
I
mean, there's multiplayer functionality, but it's built on the PSP, which wasn't very well renowned for being multiplayer savvy, even in its time. So you can see the Coke's ability there. That would let us get. That's another recruitment style ability.
Yeah.
So obviously, I need a mage or someone, maybe a rune fencer could learn Cokes. So it's. The problem is you have to go and stand right next to the unit you're trying to capture, so putting it on a wizard is probably not advised.
No Pokeballs?
No. But, I mean, we need classes like that. Why I keep, like, not getting heaps of units is A, we don't have a lot of money, and yes, I could trade in some items and get some money and do it, but there's a certain point in the game where I feel like you start building a proper team, and I'm just trying to get to that point. And it'll make more sense in a few videos. I don't know exactly how many until we get there. But for now, I'm just trying to keep the team tight and just sort of slowly level up a few things so that, say, when we get a new unit and it's a low level unit because we haven't had one before, we can sort of carry it a bit.
Yeah.
Like if we put a level 1 beast tamer in the team, well, we're going to have a useless unit for a while. So. So that's where we're going in terms of the game. Next time we continue our journey towards where Lancelot was and sneak in behind the Wallister armies that betrayed us.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts, parting thoughts, Badge?
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yes,
to us.
I'm playing.
Yeah. Well, I've recorded the next couple of episodes, so your good luck will unfortunately not help, but I appreciate the sentiment all the same. Anyway, thanks to everyone else out there for watching, and we shall catch you next time.
Alright, see ya.
Bye.